Okay, it isn't going to be easy for me to say this, but I'm planning on selling all the Zero One toys I've collected thus far. Don't get me wrong, while I'm loving Kamen Rider Zero One as a show, the toys really haven't been doing it for me. By all stretches of the imagination, they are doing everything right. We have collectibles with their own individual sounds, a wireless authorization feature, a tactile gimmick, interactivity with the various belts,
A jump to the sky turns to a rider kick.
really cool henshin sounds, I just love the English, so on and so forth. If the problem isn't with the toys, then it must be with the show, and that's where I think Zero One has been dropping the ball thus far. By most recent Kamen Rider show standards, it's great. There are stakes, there's emotional weight, drama, serious themes, and deep backstories. However, we have to remember that when it comes to Kamen Rider, Super Sentai, or other shows aimed at kids, they're essentially a half-hour toy commercial. For me, it's all about how well the writers are able to integrate the toys into the show. With each new series, the number of forms and collectibles have been growing exponentially, and what this means is that the writers have a monumental task fitting everything in story wise. The first problem this creates is that all the power ups feel really contrived and cheap. They are obtained too often and too easily without much of a struggle or build up, and that makes them forgettable. Remember when Philip had to overcome his inner fears and step up to the plate in order to become Fang Joker to save Shotaro, tying the power up together with a serious moment of character development? How about in Kamen Rider Blade? The power ups were the enemies they defeated, allowing each power up to have an identity of its own. In Zero One, the progress keys are literally made for Aruto and handed to him on a silver platter whenever he encounters an enemy he can't defeat. The second issue that a deluge of power ups create is that they are effectively either one time use only or completely unnecessary. Taking a look at Double once again, he has 6 base memories 3 for a different fighting style and 3 for different elemental effects. Just by mixing and matching these 6 memories, he could come up with 9 unique forms. Like Kuga's 4 forms, this was a perfect balance as all of the forms saw plenty of use throughout the series. The forms were generic enough to be applicable in a variety of situations, but unique enough so that they were reused even in later episodes when the time called for them. For switches, rings, and shift cars, they had a ton of superfluous abilities that were one-time use only and were made for very contrived situations. In other situations, some power-ups just saw no use as others could do the same job just as well, if not better. Currently, while Zero One hasn't been as bad as some of the previous Rider series, I can tell it's still struggling. For instance, at this point in time, Rushing Cheetah has pretty much been rendered useless by Lightning Hornet. Last but not least, let's talk about diegetic significance. For Kamen Rider Fives, the show was always focused on the belts. Most of the conflicts in the series revolved around ownership and possession of the rider gear that placed them front and center of the series. The same goes for Kamen Rider Gaim. Not only do we have multiple factions competing over these lock seats for dominance, the lock seats were also deeply related to the show's mystery and lore. This is completely different to shows like Kamen Rider Wizard, where the rings were simply carved from magic stones and had no relation to the story at all. In the case of Zero One, the power-ups have absolutely nothing to do with the main theme and story about the pros and cons of AI integration into society. Will it change in the future as more is revealed in Kamen Rider Zero One? Maybe, maybe not. However, at this moment, all I can say is that while the show and toys are great independently, it's hard to care for the toys because the show has been treating them like an afterthought. What do you guys think? Are you as particular as I am about how the show promotes its toys? Do let me know in the comments below. So, this is Hector saying, see you guys in the next episode.